by the Battle of Crate, even the respectable areas of Coruscant were roamed by gangs. Gangs fought a bloody conflict for control of the Glittering Worlds district. For me, there's a million downtrodden worlds in the Star Wars galaxy, and that's like the lamest possible outcome. Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. Today's upload is once again sponsored by my very good friends over at Vite Ramen. Now, if you've been following this channel, you probably know about Vite Ramen. If you don't just take my word for how great Vite Ramen's amazing ramen is. Check the comments because people are always leaving wonderful reviews. But for those who are new, Vite Ramen is a healthy and delicious ramen, which is awesome during these times, especially because it's just as delicious and quick as, say, fast food, but much better for you, even with less sodium than traditional ramen and more bioavailable nutrients. Vite Ramen is also a phenomenal company, not only to work with from my perspective, but to buy from. They're a US company, they're very ethically run, they treat their employees extraordinarily well, and they're actually working on a very cool project with me that I hope to unveil sooner rather than later. Right now, if you guys follow the link in the description, you can not only get 15% off your purchase, but also some cool goodies. Thanks to Vite Ramen for sponsoring today's video. Now on with the content. Alright, so I want to talk about Coruscant, and in particular how poorly managed and utilized the planet has been really since the formation or the start of the new expanded universe. If you're unfamiliar with how Star Wars Legends treated Coruscant, I highly recommend that you check out my video I did on the entire Star Wars Legends timeline. But Coruscant, which was actually invented before the prequels, was a major part of a lot of the post and pre-Endor storytelling. After the Battle of Endor, Coruscant was seized by the New Republic. They used it as their capital, and this had a lot of really positive effects. For one, it really makes the Rebel Alliance and the New Republic two distinct entities. Although the New Republic is formed before the capture of Coruscant, as they take the capital, they start to feel more like a proper government, something arguably the New Republic has largely been missing in Star Wars canon. What I mean by that is you see them set up institutions of government, you see them wield power and govern people in a way that sort of lends believability to the fact that they're now a galaxy-spanning government. And I'm reading the Black Fleet Crisis right now, for example, and it's really cool how much of that series is set on the planet and how you investigate and learn about all of these different New Republic government organizations, whether it's their intelligence agencies, the various offices associated with the Chief of State. And this works really well on Coruscant because it's a planet that we have familiarity with, and it's actually one of the few planets in Star Wars that could be described as a metropolis. We spend a lot of Star Wars, especially in the new sequel trilogy era, on backwaters, planets like Tatooine or Takodana, and Coruscant is unapologetically not that. It's also sort of an anchor point that ties the stories together. Now, this was accidental, but of course, after The Phantom Menace, Coruscant would actually be brought into the movies, and then all of that stuff that came out in the Star Wars Expanded Universe feels more like a continuous story, and Coruscant, of course, is a very important planet in the prequels. Having that single important capital planet be a thread through every story and movie really helps connect everything, in my opinion. And it's also just weird when Coruscant's not included. I think that takes us to the state of the Star Wars sequel trilogy and the new expanded universe, where Coruscant has been mostly absent. Coruscant did not appear in the sequel trilogy, it wasn't even named. That sort of hurts the overall tone of the story, I think, and makes the sequel trilogy feel a little smaller scale. And although Coruscant's featured in the High Republic, when it comes to the post-Endor storytelling, it's notably absent. It does get some mention in Bloodline. I think it's handled exceptionally poorly in the Aftermath trilogy, where the planet is treated as overall not very important. And from a world-building perspective, this is just a little bit weird to me, not only because Coruscant is one of the few core planets that we're very familiar with and is a center of government as we see in the prequel trilogy, But after the Star Wars Expanded Universe, the Legends Expanded Universe that is, we've seen Coruscant as always being the center of the galaxy, the capital of the New Republic, and a very strategically important world. I think without that, when it comes to the Star Wars Canon New Republic, the government just feels a bit weird. I think the idea of a roving capital is kind of cool, but I find the New Republic in canon also lacks a sense of competence. It doesn't help that they're wiped out essentially in a single movie and that their military is really heavily disarmed, but there's just no effort setting them up as this authority, as seeming competent, and I think the lack of holding Coruscant really hurts it in this regard. And in fact, we do kind of know why this happened. Coruscant was originally going to be the centerpiece of Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9. Much of the movie would have taken place on Coruscant. It would have seen a revolution on Coruscant as the citizens of the galaxy throw off the First Order. Of course, that never happened. But in a tweet from Pablo Hidalgo, which I believe is now deleted or behind a private Twitter account, he explained that's really why everyone avoided touching that planet before the conclusion of the sequel trilogy. We also know that JJ considered including Coruscant, and there was even concept art showing that in Episode 9, his version of the movie, but for some reason that was scrapped for whatever story we got there. Aside from just a world-building perspective, Coruscant is also nice because it does have that prequel trilogy grounding, and it provides a unique location for stories. Personally, stories that take place on Coruscant are usually among my favorite because we get to see how governments work, we get to see a real diversity of life, and I think there's a lot more room to expand into that than we've ever gotten. Coruscant is this massive city-spanning planet, but it seems everything always takes place within 100 square kilometers of the Senate, but whatever. It's really just a nice difference from places like Nar Shaddaa, which yes, are built up, but are criminal havens, or again, all of the Outer Rim locations that we're always spending time at. I mentioned the Black Fleet Crisis as one example. I also like the Coruscant episodes in the Clone Wars. The original Thrawn trilogy has lots of cool moments set on the planet, from Thrawn's attack, where everyone's basically in the war room, to trying to find out what's bugged in the old Imperial Palace. And the High Republic is actually handling that sort of well. I do have some problems with Coruscant there. For one, we're a couple of centuries out from the prequel trilogy, and the planet then is really under its golden age of construction. And one of the things that I always liked about Coruscant is that it felt like this monument to civilization, this planet that had been the heart of the galaxy for thousands and thousands of years from the Old Republic and even earlier. So I'm not sure how I feel about its development and whatnot being relatively recent, but still. And that really just makes Coruscant's absence in the post-Endor period even more notable, because it's this connective tissue that is just dropped, and it's really, really weird. I don't really understand why Coruscant being in the sequel trilogy meant it had to totally be neglected, especially where most of the expanded universe content takes place several decades before then, but whatever. I wasn't actually familiar with the current state of Coruscant in the lore and what the latest bit of information about the planet was, so I looked up the Wikipedia page, and apparently by the Battle of Crate, even the respectable areas of Coruscant were roamed by gangs. Gangs fought a bloody conflict for control of the Glittering Worlds district. Tourism to the once galactic capital all but vanished, and for an individual to be safe, they needed to afford protection like droids and armed guards. I don't know, for me, there's a million downtrodden worlds in the Star Wars galaxy, and that's the lamest possible outcome for a really awesome location from the prequel trilogy and the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Let's hope that they do better with Coruscant in future content, and maybe they can do something to fix the missed opportunity in the meantime. I mean, we did see a glimmer of it in Rogue One. Perhaps we'll see it in some other shows. I don't know. Until next time, though, guys, make sure you let me know what you thought. Leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.